So here you can see learn ERP concept, system neutral. So when ultimately you are a ERP consultant, okay, so you have to know about ERP also, okay, how the ERP ecosystems works, okay. So here you can see, like suppose for example, a document lifecycle. What is document lifecycle? Like suppose for example, you have invoice, okay. So you want like invoice to be first in draft and then submit and then cancel, or if there is any approval mechanism is required in any documents, then how you have to manage all those things. So here in businesses, these are the very common requirement, but you have to make sure that the ERP that you are dealing or like working, whether they support all these things or not. Okay, so how you can evaluate the ERP or like any softwares? Okay, so you can only evaluate if you know what are the process needed in the businesses. So here you can see document life cycles are very simple concept right now. Draft, submit and cancel. Like suppose first you have created the invoice, then first it will go to the draft mode. Okay, in draft mode, what the transaction is not yet passed but data is recorded. So once you submit, means like it will also pass the transactions, like it will pause the ledger and all these things, so it will affect your balance sheet immediately. Okay, and once you cancel, it will erase all the cancels, all the effects. Okay, and role based access. So in ERP in companies, what happened, the privacy is like the means like everyone should get their data according to their role only. These are very important roles, because in single window you have the entire access. In Excel sheets and all these things, what happen, they keep everything in their computer or like in their folder, so no one can access it. Okay, but in ERP, the single URL or single window everyone access. Okay, so how you control that these data should XYZ should not get, with the role and permissions you get. And in AQ360 ERP you get complete role and permissions with a very clear and very deep level of bifurcations of the role and permissions. Okay, approval workflow. And approval workflow is like in any business, if you see, like you either you take manual approval or like software based approval. Okay, so no matter either you go for approval manual or software based, in business matter is what, like there is an approval mechanism. So first you have to know this approval mechanism. What is approval mechanism? How it works? Some conditional approval workflow. Like conditional workflow is like, suppose you are saying to your user or like the ERP consultant, customer have said to you that for this particular customer, whenever there is a credit billing, it should send for the approval. Okay, so this is called conditional approval. So it is not for all the customer but for a particular customer. Okay, then again they can put multi condition, like if this customer and the value of the invoice is higher than this, then only go for the approval and also multi level approval. So this is called conditional approval. Okay, so here you can see it is nothing with the ERP, but you can see in the business this is how people usually practice or run their businesses. Okay, so now once you know that how business works, how business operates, then only you can replicate the entire business process into ERP. Okay, so this is a very important part for you, that you first learn how the business works, how accounting works, how the transactions work, how the approval mechanism work in manual way. Then you have to digitalize it. First you have to know it in analog way. Okay, and also when you are implementing ERP, so it is very much important that your all the modules, like if HR is generating the payroll, then it should immediately affect the this one, your accounting modules also. So whenever you're choosing any ERP or like any uh, like you want to see that how integrated things are, then you have to also understand that after passing HR pass the payroll, it is not like I again the account team have to pass the payroll entry in their books of account. Okay, so automatically it should affect. So this is how integrated module works. So whenever a sales team create an invoice, so accounts team get automatically affect that this invoice is generated and now the current balance of this customer is this. Okay, and also the most important part is like reports and analytics. So after completing ERP and like after uh, sometimes after the implementation, you get all the data into your single window, then you can put the reports and analytics and all these things. Okay, then again, if you have to create any reports, so like what report you will create, what analytics you will create. So analytics and reports, you have to create only what is what is required by the business. You cannot just come and randomly do the data analysis. Okay, so there are some rules and regulations, so this also you have to know. Okay, and these are independent of ERPs, like you can learn from any source. Okay, so these things what happen in the ERP, they incorporate it. Okay, but if you do not know reports, if you do not know analytics, though, even though if the system is available and the features is available, you cannot use it. So it is very much important that you have to understand all these things first. Okay, yeah. So here you can see module wise learning. So it's a very gradual learning actually. So here you can see if you want to become a ERP consultant, okay, so you cannot start with everything, right? So first you have to bifurcate like how you should start as a ERP consultant. Okay, so first you have to know that I have already said everything is connected with the finance module. So first you have to, this is the bare minimum that you should know how the finance module works and how accounting works. Okay, then once you finish all those things, then the sales, purchase and inventory, as I have mentioned earlier also, that every business, either it's a small or big, everyone will have these operations. Okay, no matter the size of the business. So these are the core of any ERP modules. Okay, and any business also. So first this is how you should start, and in advanced level, like some companies goes for the manufacturing, CRM, HRM, payroll, project, all these things, and the assets maintenance, all these things. So that you can learn in the next phase once you are finished and you are familiar with the basics operation of the ERP and the business, basic operations of the businesses. Okay, and then you can go for the industry specific. This is also like industry specific, but CRM is mostly used by almost all the companies, even though there is no sales team also, but even the MD also, if the single user company, then also they use this. Okay, HR and payroll, since in a small data they do not need too much of like too much of data entries and all this, so they avoided the initial phase, but for the bigger company they have no option left, they have to use it. Okay, but at least you can learn in this second phase. This is also industry specific, and this is more industry specific, like the retail, distributions and manufacturings, and then logistics, services. Okay, these are mostly like the specific type of companies, like everyone do the sales, like someone do the sales with the online sales, like through the websites, or like by opening the stores, like this they sell. Okay, but in retail store what happens, they have hypermarkets where people comes, they need to scan the barcode, they will give the invoices. This is the operations way. Okay, so you, whenever you see any ERP or you want to become a consultant and you want to go to target like retail industries kind of, then you have to make sure that you, whatever the ERP you are using, they are very expert into retail industries, and they have implemented, and all the operations are supported by the your ERP. Like in AQ 360 we have all the modules. Okay, and we have very good implementation track record in um, retail market. Okay, so you have to make sure that if you are choosing any ERP, you have to also see their credibility, past record, all these things, because you know ERP is very crucial part, like it's a bloodline of your business. Once you install it, once the ERP is down, your business is totally down. So whenever you're choosing ERP, you have to make sure that it's working very properly and have the minimum of 5 or 6 years of success record. That should be the minimum, otherwise it will be like just like a breakers into your business also. Okay, so here you can see data understanding. This is very much important, like every time you will implement, of course you will implement it to the some companies. Okay, so if the company is already using ERP, then they can give you specific format of data. Like suppose for example, let's take for an example that you have to create item masters. Item masters, basically you need to create a item list. Yeah, here we can understand data structure. Okay, so what is data structure? Data structure is like suppose you have to create a item master. Okay, so first you have to know that if, let's take for an example, you are consulting a retail industry. Okay, so in retail industry they have to scan the barcode, and if they are selling the perishable goods also, like where the expiry goods, expiry and all these things are required. So whenever you are designing the item master, you also have to get, or you have to explain them that how they should provide the data, like item master with batch number, with the expiry date, and with the barcode if they want to scan with the barcode. Okay, so item master also depends in how you are preparing. It depends on how, in which industry actually you are implementing. So you have to know that if the industry is this, then I have to collect this data, and you have to explain it to the customer also what is the purpose. Okay. And if you go for the manufacturing kind of, sometimes they just need the like warranty period, like the serial number they need to manage, but not like barcodes and all these things. Okay. So whenever you are preparing according to industry specific, first you have to understand the data structure and data, how they are going to provide you the data. Okay. And the customers and supplier master, like chart of accounts, and chart of account also, like every ERP like have their standard format of chart of accounts format. Okay. Like mostly we use like IFRS model only, mostly every company use that. And also chart of accounts you can localize according to your requirement. Okay. Taxes and the price list, unit of measurement, warehouse and location, there are so many areas depending upon, like if you also implement like HRM and payroll, then you have to understand how the employee data they are giving, how they are giving you the payroll data, what is the salary slip format systems, like designing formats and all these things. Okay. And also remember, this is very much important line, like you have to understand, like if your data are not correct and you have implemented with the bad data. Okay. And once you finished implementations, and after some time, if companies asking you some specific kind of reports, okay, and that need some specific kind of data also. Data as in, like in item master, if someone is asking that now give me the item which is about to expire in 3 months, but you haven't maintained the item like with the batch number or expiry date kind of, then of course your entire implementation failed. So you have to make sure that whatever the data you are entering is correct data, and bad data is just like a failure. Okay. So the entire game, entire purpose of the ERP is to manage data properly. So if you are not conscious about how the data you need to record, how the data you have to prepare first, then even though if you are working, then also you are fail. Okay, you will be not failing immediately, but in future customer will realize that these records are not coming or the reports are not coming. So it is very much important for you also that you take care of the data structuring very clearly.